Hey, what's happening, guys? Today, I want to do something just a little bit more fun. As some of you know, if you've known me personally, you know that I really absolutely love cars. I've been kind of obsessed with cars since I was a little kid, and I thought it'd be fun to take a look at an auction that's coming up right now for a specific car that happens to be just kind of near and dear to me. It was like one of the first cars that I experienced personally as a cool car. And so it imprinted on me. It's one of the cars that I've followed forever. I happen to own a 1997 version of this. This one happens to be a 2003. It's an Acura NSX. It's not the fastest car in the world. I think it looks cool. Most people think it looks like an old Honda, which it actually is. But for whatever reason, it imprinted on me. It's something that I really think is fun and it's intrinsic. And these cars are kind of going up in value. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to take a look and see, what is the real gain on that? Because, when these cars were new, they sold significantly less than a lot of times what they're trading for today. There's a good example here. And so I'm going to share my screen real quick and show you kind of the one that popped up and that I was watching. It happens to be this one. This is a 2003. This is actually one of the years. There was 2002 to 2005, and they had the fixed headlights instead of the pop-ups. But this is one of the final production runs. It got the 3.2-liter motor, the 6-speed transmission, a lot of the little fine tuning that Acura did at the end of this kind of long gestation. This car originally came out in 1990, so it had a lot of little innovations over the years. This one has all of those. Whether you like the pop-up headlights, you like the fixed, either way, the 2003s are actually like a really nice driving car. Now, back when they sold in 2003, they sold for about $89,000 plus sales taxes. You get it. Today, as you can see here on the bid price, with 10 days left in the auction, it's bidding at 175. Actually, a lot of people think this one will probably go somewhere close to, in the mid twos, 250-ish, maybe even a little bit higher, because it's such a low mile example. It's 3,400 miles. This thing hasn't been driven very much. Maybe enough to kind of take it out once a month or something like that, kind of jump around the canyons or some back roads and park it, put it away. I don't know that the original owner of this, decided that it was going to be a good investment at some point down the road. And that's why they didn't put the miles on it, or they just got busy, or they had other cars that they kind of were able to put in rotation and keep the miles really low like this. But regardless, this is a very low mile example, which will probably bring a pretty significant value. And so this is about as close as you're going to get to something that's kind of brand new. So the fun thing would be to take a look. What is the equivalent of the original purchase price on this in today's money? So if we kind of take a look at the inflation calculator, and we set our timeline to 2003, and we plug in $89,000. Now, in this case, we're going to just back out the sales taxes. We're only going to look at the 89,000 just acquisition price for right now, because you'd have sales taxes on the new purchase anyways. Now let's take a look and see what it would be worth today. So 89 grand, the original sticker on that car back in 2003, it's the equivalent value of $151,000 today. So seems like a lot. Inflation's kind of done, it's work for a lot of us. We've seen that with almost everything. But it's interesting to look back and say 21 years ago, 89 grand was really the equivalent of what 151K today buys. All right, so if that's the case, and this thing's going to trade, right now it's at 175, let's say it trades for 250, we're doing pretty good. Then you got to factor in capital gains. So let's take a look and see, if this is, if you're going to report what your acquisition was of $89,000, let's say that it sells for $250,000. Own it for more than a year, and let's just use kind of our backyard here in California so we can come up with the right, state tax. And let's just say we're married and we're making $250 a year, just to throw a number in there. Now you've got capital gains that are owed between the state and federal, $46,000. So we've got a value in today's money about 151. We've got another 46K. So now we're up in the 190, getting close to 200. This thing trades for say 250. You did make some money, but over those 21 years, I would argue that there's probably a better place to park your cash. So this owner probably has some other investments that have done very well, and this may be just their car passion that happened to actually do okay on the value. But if you were kind of just stuck with 89 grand and didn't know where to park it and wanted to buy a vehicle with it, maybe there's a vehicle today that you have your eye on that is going to be super rare, you're probably better off actually investing that money somewhere else. Maybe some of the various equity markets, different stocks would have outperformed this. Real estate certainly outperformed this. And so I know for me personally, there's been a couple of cars that I sold that, I was able to get out of them to where I really didn't lose anything. I might have made just a couple bucks on them. But then they trade significantly more 4 or 5 years down the road, and you're like, man, I should have just kept that car. That would have been great. It was a good investment. Well, the money that I used when I got out of those cars oftentimes went to a real estate investment, which more than outpaced what the car actually would have done. So, anyways, just kind of a fun exercise. If you guys are into cars, specifically the Acura NSX, this is a really good example. Again, it's about as new as it's going to get. You can kind of mess around a little bit with all the photos. There's an absolute ton of these on here. And so this might be kind of fun for you to kind of relive what those cars were back in the early 2000s, and just the curious mind, if you were thinking, and that jump up in price is definitely pretty steep. That was a good investment. Remember, the true value of 89 grand, really today's money is about 151, and then you've got these capital gains that you probably have to cover too if you were doing the right thing and reporting your gain. Not quite as deep of an investment as you initially think. All right, guys, until next time, I will talk to you a little bit later. Hope you had a little bit of fun with this. This is something that keeps me up at night, sometimes checking out these cars and wondering about different investments. So I thought I would share this with you.